Whether your breakup was 5 days ago or 5 years ago, there's nothing that you want more than to be able to heal that pain and feel like yourself again. But how do you heal from the pain of abandonment or betrayal so that you can feel better and eventually move on? Today, we're going to use EFT tapping to heal from your breakup. Hi, I'm Carisa Montooth, 6th generation certified energy healer and love coach and creator of the Soul Love Method course. And I help high vibe single women just like you heal their hearts and attract their divine life partner soulmates. So today we're going to use EFT tapping to help you heal from your breakup and be able to move on from that. So what is tapping? Tapping is a very special form of acupressure that stimulates your energy field. So we're talking about your aura here. And it is a very healing type of a practice. So instead of focusing on physical symptoms with the tapping practice, we're going to actually use it to lower the emotional intensity of the pain of your breakup so that you can move on into feeling like yourself again, feeling your strongest sense of self, and being able to eventually, when you feel like it, move on to be able to have the love that you deserve to have in your life. So what are we going to do today? We're going to use a form of EFT, a form of tapping called clinical EFT. The EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And the form of tapping that we're using today, clinical tapping, is scientifically supported. There's a lot of research behind using tapping for different psychological things, we can use it for trauma, we can use it to help with weight loss, we can use it to clear out your blocks to love so that you can activate the law of attraction and bring your soulmate into your life. And I've got another video about that you can click up there and you can get to that video as well. But what we're going to do today is that we're going to tap through these acupressure points, and while we tap, we're going to access the pain of the breakup and use this powerful energy healing technique at the same time so that we can bring the emotional intensity down. Sometimes people want to know, so why are we focusing on the pain, right? When we bring up the pain, so we're talking about the specific details of the breakup event, right, which we're going to use to kind of keep the pain to the top of your mind, while at the same time using this energy healing technique, then the painful event begins to lose its power. And for true healing to occur, it's really important to remember that we can't just always focus on the positive and never deal with the negative. That would be like if you had some kind of really stinky smell coming from your basement, and instead of going down there to deal with it, you just were spraying, Lysol around everywhere because you didn't want to deal with it. It's still down there stinking up the basement, right? Or it would be like if you had a really bad toothache, and instead of going to the dentist, dealing with the discomfort of getting the tooth pulled and then the aftermath of healing, you just kept taking Tylenol. It's like the temporary discomfort that it's going to cost you to do the healing work for this is worth the lasting relief of feeling better. You might also be wondering, if you've done other tapping videos where there was a tapping script and the person was taking you through just positive statements the entire time and they never dealt with anything negative, you might be wondering, well, is that way better or is this way better? Especially if you're somebody that is a student of the law of attraction and you understand the importance of focusing on what you want to create in your life. The thing about it with tapping is that these negative things, this pain is in there anyway, and pretending that it's not there is not going to help. Instead, what we want to do is actually bring it up, heal it, and release it so that you can stop manifesting from it, and so that you can have the relief that comes from collapsing that emotional intensity and starting to feel more like yourself. You don't get to that place by pretending that the negative stuff isn't there. You get to that place by facing the negative stuff with help and actually working through it. So that's what we're going to do today. So I am sharing this healing work with you, but as always, the responsibility for the changes that occur is yours. So the very first thing that we're going to do together is that I want to take you through the tapping points that we're going to use. So when we tap, we begin with what's called a setup statement. When we use clinical EFT, we start with a setup statement, which is here at the side of the hand point. And you can tap here with 3 fingers, 2 fingers. It doesn't really make that much of a difference, but it's this side of your hand is the first point that we're tapping with. So you would tap there and we would begin with our setup statement. And our setup statement follows a formula. The formula is even though, and then you put in the deep dark belief or the fear or the feelings there, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, when we do our tapping, we would say even though, and we're not going to tap through yet, but I'm just showing you to demonstrate where the point is. We would say our setup statement here, even though I'm feeling the pain of this breakup, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. That's our side of the hand point. That's where we would start tapping. Our next point is the top of the head, and you want to imagine it like there is a cord coming up through you so that you're sitting up straight and it's coming out the top of your head like a marionette. So that's the top of the head point where you want to tap. It's not forward here, it's not at the hairline, it's actually in the center of the top of your head. And if you're not exactly sure where it is, you can tap in a little bit of a circle so that you make sure that you get that entire spot. The next spot that you're going to want to tap is the inner corner of your eye, and you can think of it as right here where the eyebrow begins. There's a bone that circles your eye here, the occipital bone, and the tapping points around your eye should always be on that bone. So you're going to tap here so that you're still on the occipital bone. That's the inner eye point. Now you're going to go to the outer corner of the eye point, and you're still on, so you're still on the occipital bone there. Then you go under the eye. That's the next point. You're still on the occipital bone. So you're not down here on the cheek. You're actually right here under the eye on that occipital bone. The next point is right in the, right here, right under the nose in that little ridge. A lot of times people tap with 2 fingers, but that means that they're actually not tapping right on the point. They're missing the point. So even if you tap with 2 fingers, you want to make sure one of them is on that point right there in the middle. The next point is under the mouth. So same thing, you're going to be right below the mouth, just under the mouth, tapping there at that point. Then the next place that you're going to want to tap is the collarbone point. And to find that, you find that notch at the top of your neck where your collarbones come together at the top of your sternum. And you'll go over to your collarbone. And then you'll go right under it to the soft spot, and that's the collarbone spot. And then the last place that you're going to go to is actually under your arm. So if you go down, if you go to your armpit and then you go down about 4 inches, a lot of times, ladies, we call this the bra strap point. Or you can call it the armpit point. It's not on your armpit, but it's close. It's the closest point of our tapping. It's the closest of our tapping points to the armpit. And once you go through a round of tapping, we always want to stop, take a deep breath, and just assess where are we and see what's going on with that. Another feature of the clinical tapping that's really important and that helps you get the good results is to check in with what's called your SUD score. SUD stands for Subjective Units of Distress. So what we do is we look at, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the emotional intensity right now? So that's what we do before we start out. We want to look at a scale of 1 to 10, what's the emotional intensity right now of this feeling? So let's get started. Now that you know the points and you know what we're going to do, let's get started. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and ask yourself, when you think about your breakup, what is the intensity of that pain on a scale of 1 to 10? You could be measuring pain. You could be measuring anger. You could be measuring sadness. You could be measuring guilt. You could be measuring your feelings of abandonment or betrayal or disgust. But whatever is the most intense feeling that's still left over from your breakup, you want to zero in on that and ask yourself, what is the intensity of that emotion on a scale of 1 to 10? So then you're going to keep track of that. Write that down. What's that? Or just remember that number on a scale of 1 to 10. And it can be, 1 is the 0 is nothing. I'm not feeling anything about it anymore, in which case, good for you. You don't have to watch the rest of this video. But if you are still feeling something, especially if it's like 5 or above, you're going to want to dig in to do the work, because that's something that's not just going to go away on its own, and you'll want to address that and really be able to support yourself in doing the healing work. So let's say you have it and it's like an 8, a 9, 10, something like that, and you're really tuned into what that pain is right now. So the first thing that you're going to do is start with the side of the hand. So we're at the side of the hand point, and we're going to say, even though I'm still feeling this intense emotion, and you can elaborate about what the emotion is if you like, or you can just say, I'm still feeling this intense emotion. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling this intense feeling about the breakup, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling this intense, painful feeling about the breakup, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And now we're going to move through the tapping points, and we're going to zero in on different aspects of the event of breaking up. So we're going to tap on the side of the head, and I want you to remember where and when the breakup was. Was it at your house? Was it at a restaurant? Was it in a public place? Were you home but it was over the phone? Where did the breakup take place, and when did it happen? Was it at night? Was it during the day? On a weekend, on a holiday, on a special day? Remember the where and when. And you can say that out loud. So you can say, at the restaurant on Saturday. Or whatever it is for you. Now you're going to go to the inner corner of the eye, and I want you to remember what you saw. As you're tapping there, I want you to think about your ex's face. What did it look like when the breakup was happening? What facial expressions? As you looked around you, did you see anything else? Did other people stop and stare? Did it feel like everything started to narrow in? You know, was it a sunshiny day and you noticed it was sunshiny even though you felt horrible? What did you see? Now we're going to go to your outer eye, and I want you to think about what you heard. What were the words that your ex said while the breakup was happening? And I want you to think about it, whether you were the one who broke up, and you may feel a tremendous sense of guilt about that, or whether they broke up with you and you feel a tremendous sense of pain about that. What was said? What were the words that were said? Okay. And now I want you to go under, excuse me one sec. I want you to go under your eye, and I want you to think about who was there. Was there anyone else there besides you and your ex? Were you surrounded by people in a crowd? Were there other people there that you knew? Who else was there? Think about that and bring that up. Okay, good. And now I want you to go under your nose and think about, what did you smell? Do you remember any smells? Were you at the beach and you could smell the salt water? Were you at a restaurant and you could smell food? Were you on the street and it was smoggy? What did you smell? Now we're going to go down under your mouth, and I want you to think about, what did you taste? You know, were you chewing gum and the taste of it is still in your mouth? Were you so nervous and upset that you could taste bile, like you were nauseous, like you were going to throw up? Were you in the middle of eating? What did you taste? Now I want you to go to the collarbone point, and I want you to bring up your thoughts at the time. What did you think? Did you think, no one will ever love me like this again? This was my last chance for love? Did you think, of course, this would happen because nobody ever loves me? Did you think, this is all my fault? I can't believe this is happening? What were the thoughts that came into your mind while you're tapping on that collarbone point? And now I want you to go to that underarm spot and ask yourself, what did you feel in your body? Remember how you felt in your body. Did you feel that your face got hot? Did you feel that your stomach became nauseous? Did you get cold all of a sudden? Did you feel cold all over? What did you feel in your body? Did your legs get weak? Were you shaking? What did you feel in your body when the breakup was happening? Okay, so now I want you to take a nice big deep breath in, letting it all out, and then one more time, and then one last time. Okay, and we're going to do one more round of tapping, and this time we're going to focus on the feelings. But before we do that, I want you to check in and ask yourself about the emotional intensity again. So what's the emotional intensity like now? If it was a 9 before, did it go up? Did it go down? Did it stay the same? How does it feel now that you've done a round of tapping? Make a note of that for yourself. Just in your mind, you don't have to write it down. You can just remember the number. And then you can move on to the next round of tapping. So we're going to start here, side of the hand point again. And we're going to say, even though I still feel this pain from the breakup, or you can say this anger, or you can say this sadness, whatever the feeling is, I deeply and completely love and accept myself and all of my feelings. Even though I still feel this pain, I deeply and completely love and accept myself and all of my feelings. Even though I am still struggling to heal from this pain, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, and now we're going to tap through the other points, starting at the top of the head, and you can say all these feelings, or you can zero in on the one that's the most intense. For now, we're going to say all these feelings, but you could be saying this fear, this sadness, this disgust, this anger, whatever the feelings are. So all these feelings. Same thing, next point, all these feelings, inner eye, outer eye, all these feelings, under the eye, all these feelings, under the nose, all these feelings, under the mouth, all these feelings, collarbone, all these feelings, and then under the arm, all these feelings. Okay. Then we're going to stop here, put your hands on your thighs, take a nice big deep breath in, letting it out through your mouth. A nice deep breath in through your nose. Let it out through your mouth. One more time in through your nose. Letting it out through your mouth. All right. And now you're going to check back in. Check in and see, how do you feel? Now that you have done the tapping through the feelings, how do you feel? What is your emotional intensity now on a scale of 1 to 10? Did it go up? Did it go down? Did it stay the same? What happened with it? If it went up, or if it switched to something else, like let's say you started out with sadness, but then it switched to anger, then now begin tapping on the anger. So tap back through all of the points and remember the aspects of the breakup like we did with our first round of tapping, and then do another round where you're focused on tapping about the anger. There's a really common thing that happens with women because we're in a patriarchal society. So with women, we have been taught that we've been taught not to express our anger. And it's because people are afraid of our anger because it's very powerful. And so what we do is we internalize that, and we make this decision, sometimes unconsciously, to express our anger as sadness, because our sadness is not threatening to people, but our anger is. So often you might start working on something and find out that it's really something else that's going on. You might start to tap on sadness, but actually it's anger. You're saying, even though I'm sad about this, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then you might be like, you know what? Actually, I'm really angry about this. I didn't deserve to be treated like that. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself, even though I didn't deserve to be treated like that. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though what happened to me was wrong, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So you can tap, if something comes up that's different than what you originally started tapping on, that's okay. You can tap on that. Also, you might find that you cry. You start crying after we've done the tapping. And if that happens, then that means that you're pulling things up that need to be released. And what you can do is you can tap while you're crying. And please do that, because while you're tapping, you're activating healing for yourself. If you just cry without tapping, then you're just being despondent. And sometimes that's not that helpful to leave yourself in that place. So it's more helpful if you support yourself while you cry by tapping. And you can say, even though I am crying about this, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid that if I start crying, I won't be able to stop, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm upset that I'm crying about this because it's happened a long time ago and I feel like I should be over it by now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So we're not judging ourselves about the feelings. We're just taking care of them. We're taking care of ourselves. We're being gentle with ourselves. We're saying everything I feel is okay, and I'm going to address it and deal with it in a way that is loving for me. So that's something that might happen for you. You also may start yawning, which is a tremendous sign of release. Yawning means that you have felt release. You also might feel really tired, and it shows you the heaviness that you've been carrying around if you suddenly feel tired after you've done a few rounds of tapping. It shows you, like, now that the burden is being removed, you can feel what you've been carrying around this whole time. Like, you feel the release, you feel the relief, and you can tell it took a lot out of you, so you might be very tired. You may feel lighter afterwards. Lightness, whenever you feel lightness, it always means a healing has taken place if you feel lighter. You might get a sudden insight into the situation that you've never had before, because that old belief isn't blocking you anymore, and it's not taking up a bunch of your emotional and mental bandwidth anymore. So it can allow for new insights to come up from your subconscious into your conscious mind, and you might start to see the situation in a way that you didn't before. It might be easier for you to let go of it because you might have this new insight. One thing that you might want to do is, if you get interrupted in the middle of your tapping, let's say you bring it down from a 10 to a 5 or a 10 to a 4, and then you get interrupted. Maybe you have to stop and go pick up the kids from school, or you have to stop and go to work or something like that. What we want to do is we want to kind of put that issue in a safe place so that we can come back to it later. We don't want to just leave that open, because we'll be leaving ourselves in an emotionally vulnerable place. So what we want to do in that case is we want to sort of close that up and make it safe. So to do that, we would tap on that. So let's tap on that if you're in that space. Okay? So we're going to say, even though I still feel some of the pain from this and I'm still working on it, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I haven't cleared this out completely, and I'm a little afraid that I may never clear this out completely, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I know I still feel some of this, it's not gone all the way, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then we're going to tap the top of the head. I'm proud of myself for doing this work. Inner eye. I'm proud of my commitment to my healing. outer eye. It's brave of me to do this work. Under your eye. I know I can come back to it if I need to. Under your nose. It's safe for me to go out into the world and do what I need to do now. Under the mouth. I trust that if I need to, I can come back and keep working on this. Under your collarbone. In the meantime, I can be proud of myself because of the work that I've done. And then under your arm, I love myself. And then I want you to stop and just take a quick minute to envision that you're putting it somewhere safe. And for you, that could be in a treasure chest on a deserted island, and you'll just come back to it. It could be I'm putting it in a box and I'm putting it in the closet, and I'll come deal with it when I need to. It could be that it's going into a safe. It could be it's going into a shed. You could be putting it on the moon. People put the issues that they're still working on. When they have a safe place, it can be wherever you want that safe place to be. It's absolutely fine. So now what you're going to do is you're going to continue to take care of yourself, because what you did was you just used next level energy healing tools, very powerful, scientifically supported energy healing tools. And sometimes it can take your body a little while to integrate that healing work. It needs a little support in integrating that healing work. So you're definitely going to want to get a little extra rest and drink a little extra water. It's safe for you to do that work, so you can always go back and you can continue to do rounds of tapping. You can tap for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You can tap in the morning. You can make a commitment to yourself that I'm going to tap on my breakup because I'm still feeling it intensely. So when I first wake up in the morning, I'm not going to let my feet hit the ground until I've tapped for 5 or 10 minutes and done this healing for myself. You can go through it, as many times as you need to go through it. Bring it down to a 0, a 1, or a 2. And if you bring it down to a 0, a 1, or a 2, it will resolve the rest of the way on its own. But if you only come down to a 4, you only come down to a 5, that's not very good for you. Sometimes people do that because they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm actually feeling better. It's kind of weird, and they don't quite trust that they're feeling better. And so they sort of stop, and it's kind of a resistance or a self-sabotage thing, because maybe we don't know who we would be without that pain. And we just tell ourselves, well, that's impossible that I feel better, even though we are feeling better. So I would really urge you, if you start to get down to, a 4 or 5, keep going until you can bring it down to a 2 or a 1 or a 0, and then it can resolve on its own. So, what came up for you while we did our tapping work? I would love to hear from you in the comments. Did you start to tap on one thing and then it actually turned into something else? Did it work for you better than you thought that it would? And you're kind of like, that was weird. I feel better, but how did I feel better? I only did a little bit. Whatever's coming up for you, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you and know how this was for you. And if you want to go deeper into healing your love blocks so that you can feel like yourself and heal your heart and eventually manifest your soulmate, then you're going to want to go check out my free ebook, The Heartache Cure, which is at theheartachecure.com. And as always, remember that self-love is the best love. So love you first, love you best, and all other kinds of love will flow to you. Take care.